It's early morning in Wavertree, Liverpool. The city shivers under a grey sky, smoke curling from chimneys into the damp air. The streets glisten from overnight rain. Somewhere, a dog barks, a milk float rattles by, and the faint scrape of a baker's door opening releases the scent of warm bread. Above a small barber shop, a baby cries, sharp, insistent. Downstairs, scissors snip rhythmically, mingling with the hum of a wireless. Hair tonic and pipe smoke hang thick, and somewhere a man clears his throat, steady, oblivious to the world outside. Upstairs, a young Leonard sits in the shadow of the bedroom, clutching his knees. He hears distant sirens, the low murmur of his mother tidying, the quiet scrape of her hands over soap and cloth. The words on the wireless are clipped, urgent. Liverpool, bomb, casualties. And then it reaches him. His father, John Rossiter, is gone. He imagines him at the ambulance station, rushing into the chaos as he always did, a man of duty, courage and calm. The sound of sirens, the rattle of vehicles, the scream of falling masonry, the smoke, black and thick, clawing at his father's lungs, the fire roaring, swallowing streets, searing rooftops, igniting everything it touches. Leonard sees it in his mind, his father, trying to save lives, bending to lift debris, directing frightened families out of harm's way, and then a sudden collapse, the city groaning as a bomb strikes too close, shattering wood, brick and bone. The memory is jagged. The echo of the explosion seems to linger in every corner of his home, in every shadow. His mother cries out, a sound that cuts through the air like glass. Leonard's knees go weak. The scent of smoke and ash penetrates the fog of morning, clinging to his clothes, to the walls, to his heart. He is 11. The city feels suddenly enormous and terrifying. Streets he knew intimately are now alien paths of rubble and ruin. The barber's shop below, once warm, bustling, is empty, silent, scorched. And his father is gone, a man who lived by courage and kindness, now reduced to memory and the lingering scent of smoke. He does not weep long. There is no time. The war demands survival. He helps his mother, tidies the home as best he can, learning quickly that life keeps moving, even when everything he loves has been torn away. The years stretch forward. Leonard grows lean, restless, quick-witted. He writes letters for soldiers during national service, shapes the words of others as if to make up for all the words he never got to say to his father. He walks home past the rebuilt streets of Liverpool, the river dark and patient, the hum of industry rising around him, and wonders who he is supposed to be in a world that has taken so much too soon. Then, a quiet defiance ignites, a dare from a friend, a stage, a line to speak, a life not yet imagined. The boy who survived fire, smoke, and loss is about to step into the light. The theatre smells of wood polish, dust, and damp velvet. You can hear it before you see it. The soft scrape of a broom over the worn floorboards, the faint creak of the stage as it shifts under weight, the distant echo of voices from the dressing rooms. Leonard steps in cautiously, his shoes clicking lightly, carrying the quiet tension of a man who has never imagined himself here. He watches the actors around him, their bodies loose, their voices alive, carrying lines with the ease of people born to speak. The air is thick with anticipation, the smell of grease paint and cheap perfume, mingling with the scent of candle wax that hasn't long been extinguished. Leonard feels his heart hammer in his chest. His hands are cold, but his mind races, rehearsing, imagining, doubting. His girlfriend's challenge still echoes in his head. If you think you're better, prove it. He had laughed at the amateur troupe she belonged to, scoffing at their earnestness. But now, standing backstage, the thrill of possibility grips him. He steps forward, lifts a script, and whispers the first words. The first line trembles out of his mouth, the paper rustling. The sound is harsh in the quiet of the room, yet alive. He watches reactions, the tilt of a head, the quick nod of approval, a suppressed smile. Something stirs in him, a spark he didn't know was there. He moves with the script, his voice finding rhythm, cadence, a pulse. The space transforms, walls close in, then expand. He is no longer just a boy from Liverpool. He is someone else, someone who commands attention with breath and gesture, with timing sharp as a blade. Weeks pass in a blur. Repertory theatre, Preston, Wolverhampton, Salisbury, becomes a furnace of experience. He learns 75 roles in 19 months. Every line, every stage direction, every quick costume change is a heartbeat in a relentless rhythm. The smell of sawdust, the slap of curtains, the scent of cheap paint on canvas backdrops. These are the textures of his new life. There is exhilaration in it, a constant hum of fear and triumph. He sees other actors falter, forget lines, stumble over entrances, and he absorbs it all. The mistakes, the recoveries, the laughter of audiences. The echo of applause is intoxicating. He begins to understand timing, how silence can speak louder than words, how a pause can hold an audience captive. One night, alone on the empty stage, the air thick with dust and candle smoke, Leonard closes his eyes. The theatre whispers around him. The worn boards, the distant city hum, the faint creak of a stage rope swinging. He realises, in this space of scent, sound and motion, that he has found a world he was meant to inhabit, is discovering power in voice, presence and movement. He steps into the wings, exhales and feels something he has not felt in years, the electric certainty that this is where he belongs. Leonard walks along the corridor of the Bristol Old Vic, feeling the rough plaster walls under his fingertips, hearing the muffled rehearsal voices of actors practicing their lines, the soft shuffle of feet on creaking boards. Every sound vibrates with possibility and discipline. He steps into the rehearsal room, a high-ceilinged space where echoes linger like ghosts. The director speaks sharply, each word slicing through the air. Precision, presence. Leonard breathes in, letting the tension and expectation settle into him like armour. The plays come one after another. The Caretaker, semi-detached. The Strange Case of Martin Richter, the Heretic. Each new character a skin he must wear, each line a pulse to memorise, each gesture calibrated to hold the audience's gaze. The smell of sawdust, stage dust and paint fills his nostrils as he moves between sets, sometimes barely pausing to catch breath. The tick of the clock in the wings becomes a heartbeat in sync with his own. Sometimes in quiet moments he stands alone on the empty stage. The wood beneath his feet is scarred with decades of performance. He imagines the crowds, the applause, the laughter, the hush of anticipation. He practices pauses, studies expressions, modulates his voice until every syllable hums with clarity. Here, in this discipline, he discovers the rhythm that will shape his television comedy. Timing precise, reactions instantaneous, presence total. Travelling between theatres, performing dozens of roles in rapid succession, Leonard's life becomes a blur of scripts, costumes and cues. Backstage smells mingle. Grease paint, coffee, damp coats, the faint tang of sweat from exertion. The world outside fades, only the stage exists. Mistakes are immediate lessons. Triumphs are fleeting, consumed by the next scene. He learns to absorb everything. Other actors' energy, audience reaction, the subtle sway of stage architecture. He laughs at himself, at the absurdity of memorising line after line, costume after costume. But each challenge sharpens him, hones a talent that is quick, precise and unerring. And then comes the quiet realisation. The bedrock of his craft is here. In repetition, in rigour, in the constant pulse of rehearsal and performance, Leonard Rossiter becomes something more than a boy from Liverpool. He becomes a master of timing, voice, and presence, ready to take the skills forged in these theatres into a world that will soon watch him redefine comedy. The smell of television studios is different, sterile, faintly metallic, mixed with the warmth of hot lights and the faint tang of cables and paint. Leonard steps onto the set, boots echoing softly on the linoleum, the murmur of crew and cast surrounding him like a living organism. Every cable, camera and microphone hums with anticipation, charged energy buzzing in the air. He meets the cast, exchanges nods and quick smiles. The director calls for quiet. The lights blaze. The cameras roll. Leonard becomes Rupert Rigsby. Every twitch, every look, every pause is magnified, captured, transmitted to homes across the country. The shabby bedsits, the peeling wallpaper, the flickering light bulb above, they all breathe life through his performance. Rigsby is lecherous, awkward, absurd, yet human, painfully, hilariously human. The audience laughs, and Leonard feels it through the floorboards, up through his boots, a vibration that is immediate, intimate, electrifying. The timing of a glance, a muttered line, a sudden, exaggerated gesture, all honed in those endless repertory rehearsals. He is in command of the moment, yet vulnerable to it at the same time. Between takes, he paces the set. The smell of coffee and makeup lingers, and the chatter of technicians blends with the faint rustle of scripts. He laughs quietly to himself at Rigsby's antics, marvelling at how a character he has shaped can now live in millions of living rooms simultaneously. The fame is strange. People recognise him in the street, whisper his lines, laugh at things he hasn't even said yet in that moment. Then comes Reginald Perrin, the BBC's absurd satire of middle-class malaise. Leonard steps into a different world. Grey offices, patterned carpets, the soft hum of fluorescent lights overhead. Every sigh, every glance, every twitch of Perrin's frustration is captured with intimate precision. The comedy is sharper, darker, more surreal, yet still utterly believable. His timing, honed in the theatres of Bristol and Preston, is now immortalised on celluloid and tape. Fame surrounds him like a thick fog. Reporters, interviews, cameras flashing outside his modest flat. Yet Leonard remains grounded. Every joke, every line, every gesture is crafted, precise. A marriage of instinct and discipline. He moves through notoriety with the same rigour he applied to the stage, always observing, always calculating, never letting the laughter or acclaim cloud the meticulous craft beneath. By the end of the 1970s, Leonard Rossiter is everywhere. He is a face and a voice, instantly recognisable, beloved, feared for his wit, admired for his skill. But behind the laughs, behind the applause, there is still the boy from Wavertree, walking home past the damp cobblestones of Liverpool, aware of the fragility and brevity of life, of fame, and of every fleeting, perfect performance. The scent of stage polish, faint smoke, and hot lighting fills the theatre backstage. Leonard paces quietly, the worn floorboards creaking beneath his polished shoes. His eyes scan every prop, every cue, every shadow. He is meticulous, exacting, and every gesture, every line, every pause must be perfect. This is a man who demands the world meet his standards, or he will remake it in his own image. On set for the Cinzano commercials, the atmosphere is lighter, yet no less precise. Leonard spills a drink over Joan Collins, timing it so the humour lands just so. The director watches, smiling at the brilliance in the chaos, but Leonard notices everything. The angle of the glass, the flick of her wrist, the soft murmur of the crew. Even in comedy, he is exacting, unforgiving, brilliant. At home, the air smells faintly of wine and old books. The attic is converted into a cellar, rows of bottles standing like silent sentinels. Leonard lifts one, inhales its aroma, appreciating the craftsmanship, the subtlety, The same care he applies to performance. In his private moments, he writes, sharp and clever, letting his wit flow across pages. The devil's bedside book, the lowest form of wit, his acid humour crystallised, a private laughter shared with those who can read between the lines. Yet behind this meticulous precision, the man is not without contradictions. His first marriage dissolved quietly. His second brings love, daughter, and stability. And yet, a hidden affair hints at restlessness beneath the order, a human flaw intertwined with genius. Back on stage in Loot or the BBC's King John, Leonard inhabits worlds that demand both absurdity and truth. He sweats under the lights, feels the texture of velvet curtains, hears the audience's quiet intake of breath, and responds with flawless timing. Every laugh, every gasp, every moment of silence is choreographed by instinct, honed through decades of discipline. Leonard is alive in contradiction. The comic, the perfectionist, the father, the husband, the lover of wine and wit. Every line he speaks is precise, every pause deliberate, every gaze measured. And as the lights dim, the applause fades and the quiet returns, he walks alone through the corridors of the theatre, thinking, calculating, ever refining the mask he shows the world, while the man beneath it remains intensely, painfully, vibrantly himself. The backstage air is heavy, warm with the scent of stage lights, damp costumes, and the faint tang of grease paint. Leonard stands just behind the curtain, his script clutched loosely in one hand, the other tapping a quiet rhythm against the wood of the prop table. The theatre hums. Soft murmurs of the audience beyond, the distant scrape of stage hands moving scenery, the low, expectant creak of floorboards. He breathes in slowly and feels the familiar surge of energy that has driven him from the streets of Liverpool to every stage and screen he has touched. Every role, every line, every painstaking pause, it has led to this moment. The curtain rises, Leonard steps forward, every eye is on him. The audience laughs, gasps, and leans forward as if they can see into the very machinery of his mind. He moves, speaks, and reacts with the precision that has defined him. Rupert Rigsby, Reginald Perrin, Captain Quinn, the characters, the masks, all blending seamlessly with the man beneath. Behind the laughter, behind the applause, there is a deeper truth. Leonard has been a craftsman, a perfectionist, a man of wit, discipline, and endless curiosity. In quiet moments, he has scribbled aphorisms sharp enough to cut glass, savoured wine with the care of a sommelier, and shaped the voices of others in letters and performances alike. Every detail of his life, joy, heartbreak, triumph, and absurdity, has been mined for the work he gives to the world. Then, as the final scene fades, the applause dies and the lights dim, there is only stillness. Leonard stands alone on the stage, heart beating in rhythm with the empty theatre. His legacy lingers in the echoes. The sound of laughter, the sharp intonation of his voice, the imprint of his timing on every aspiring actor who will follow. And beyond the theatre, the world remembers, a boy from Wavertree who survived war, loss, and self-doubt, who turned discipline into brilliance, who made millions laugh while never losing the sharp, vivid intelligence that defined him. His life, like every great performance, leaves a resonance that outlasts the moment, an indelible presence, precise, powerful, and utterly unforgettable. The curtain falls, the stage is empty. But Leonard Rossiter, in every gesture, pause, and laugh he gifted to the world, remains.